Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Red Dead Online and we're doing another outfit guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mathew Quigley, Tom Selleck's character from Quigley Down Under. Excellent Western movie if you haven't seen it. Definitely a little bit less, I guess what you call stereotypical than most of the Westerns that I recommend on the channel. But Quigley Down Under is a solid movie. I definitely like it. So we're going to be imitating his iconic outfit from that movie today. But as always, we're going to start off with weapons. So let's just dive on in. So we're actually going to start off with a rifle this time, and it's not perfect, but bear with me because it's pretty dang close, and it almost perfectly fits what he's going for. So the alternative to this would obviously be using the elephant rifle, the 700 Nitro Express, but I think the rolling block is a better option. So what we're trying to imitate here is Quigley's Shiloh Sharp's 1874 long-range rifle. It had a 34-inch barrel, which is 4 inches longer than the standard 30-inch barrel, and his was converted to fire 45 110 metallic cartridges with a 540 grain paper patch bullet. This is a big gun, and it definitely plays a big part in the story, which is why I'm paying so much attention to it this time. But so basically his Sharps rifle would have been an open sight, so it wouldn't have had a scope on it. It just would have a adjustable layer or a lever sight in the back, which could be used to shoot extremely long distances very accurately, as he does in the movie. So this rifle definitely plays a really big part in this character, which is why I focused on it. Like I said, you could probably use the 700 Nitro because it actually is way more powerful than the rolling block rifle. And in the movie, Mathew Quigley often shoots people with this and like flips people over when they get hit by it. So it's definitely supposed to be a super powerful gun. But like I said, I think the rolling block looks the best. And for that, I went with the short scope because it's not supposed to have a scope at all. So I just went with the smallest one, so it takes up the least profile on the gun. Then I went with the mahogany varnish for the wood and all browned steel for the barrel, block, frame, hammer, sight, and trigger. It looks pretty dang close to being perfect for his Sharps rifle, other than the fact that it's a totally different gun. So that's the first gun that we're going to be looking at today for Mathew Quigley. So for the gun, we're kind of stretching it here because he doesn't really have much of, I should say for the sidearm, he doesn't really have much of a dedicated sidearm for the movie, but near the end of the movie, he does actually end up picking up a pretty cool gun from one of the bad guys. So the gun that we're going to be imitating here is the one used by the character called Dobkin in the movie. So basically he has a 1851 Navy, which is the Navy revolver which we're using here, but his was a shorter version. It was called the U.S. Marshall Pocket version. It was still 36 caliber, but it just had a much shorter barrel. So unfortunately we can't imitate that here, but what we can do is make it look basically the same as it. So the one that he has in the movie has ivory grips, and it's just all either silver or nickel plated, and it looks pretty fancy, which is why I went here. I did the pearl grips because it's the closest that we can come to ivory, and then I did full engravings with silver inlay and then all nickel plating throughout every part of the gun. So this gun, like I said, Quigley doesn't really have it for most of the movie, but after a duel with this guy near the end, I think it's like way at the end of the movie, you see him pick up this gun and pocket it. And so there's a couple of other guns in the movie that you could imitate and try to use. Actually, this movie has a lot of guns in it. There's a bunch of Griswold and Gunnison revolvers in this movie, which is interesting because that one would think that'd be a pretty obscure handgun for Australia, but considering it was primarily used by the Confederate States Army during the Civil War. But there's several of those appear in the movie. There's actually a Colt Walker appears in the movie. There's a Colt Dragoon that appears in the movie, which Quigley also picks up, so you could try to imitate that. There's quite a few Colt 1860 Army revolvers. There's several other Colt 1851 Navy revolvers. There's a couple Remington 1858 New Army revolvers that show up. So there's quite a few guns in the movie. But like I said, I chose this one, A, because it looks cool, and B, because Quigley actually picks it up and puts it in his pocket after the duel. So it is now his revolver. So that's why I went with this one. But that is actually both of the guns that we're going to be taking a look at today. So let's just go check out the outfit. So here we have Quigley, Mathew Quigley from Quigley Down Under. And I think it looks pretty dang good. So obviously, if you're familiar with the movie, you'll notice it's not perfect, but that's just because we don't have any of the clothing items, or a lot of the clothing items that are exactly what he wears. But it's pretty dang close, and I think it looks pretty good. So I started off with a slightly longer hairdo. I actually thought it was going to stick out a little bit more than this, but he has decently long hair in the movie, but it's not shoulder length, so it's basically just something you kind of want to be able to see it around his ears. And I went with black. I'm not sure if in the movie his hair looks more dark, like real real dark brown or black, but I thought it looked really dark. So that's why I went with that. And then for facial hair, I went with the goatee. Obviously, Mathew Quigley's in the movie. The beard part on his chin is much, much thinner, but the mustache looks a lot like this. But it's really the best option we have, so that's why I went with that for the facial hair. So that's hair. Let's get right into each individual clothing piece. So for the hat, I went for this really light version of the Liberty hat. And now it's not perfect, but it's as close as we can come out of any of the available hats in the game. I considered the Cayuga hat because the top of it looks a little bit better, but the general shape of the brim for the Liberty hat definitely matches the hat that he wears in the movie the best out of all of the available options. So that's why I went with this hat. Like I said, you could do the Cayuga hat, but honestly, I think the Liberty hat looks better. So that's why I went with this one. Then for the bandana, I went with this kind of worn out red variant of the bandana, just the plain bandana. And now the one he wears in the movie does have a pattern on it, so there was another one that I considered going with. I think it was one of the pattern bandanas. It was a red one with some stripes on it. But this one looked a little bit bigger, and the one he wears in the movie is very, very large. It actually goes down to like almost his navel when he's wearing it. Unfortunately, we can't imitate that because there's no bandanas that big in this game, but this is the right color and it has the right feel to it, and it's the biggest option available in the game currently. So that's why I went with this bandana. So next up, for the shirt, I went with this blue variant of the bib shirt. And now it's not perfect because the one he wears in the movie is darker than this. I really wish they had a darker blue variant of this bib shirt because there's quite a few iconic Western outfits that use a dark blue bib shirt that this would be perfect for if it wasn't so light. But this is the closest option I could use. There was the dark blue work shirt I considered because it's the right color, but it doesn't have the bib in the front, and so it's missing one of the biggest components of the outfit, at least in my opinion. So I thought it was worth sacrificing getting the exact right color to get the right form, because this shirt is exactly the right shirt other than the color. So that's why I went with this shirt. Like I said, a darker blue shirt would look more like it from a distance, but up close you gotta notice those buttons for the bib. So that's the shirt I went with. For the gun belt, I found that the light brownish reddish variant of the woven pistol gun belt matched the one that he wears in the movie the best. It's not absolutely perfect, and he wears his a little bit higher, but I think this one looks pretty close to how his does in shape and style, so that's why I went with this one. And he does not appear to use two holsters, so I did not put an offhand holster on it. For pants, I went with the stereotypical kind of dirtyish blue jean looking pants, so I went with this light blue variant of the studded pants. I think they look pretty dang good. They look basically exactly like the pants he wears in the movie, so can't really beat them. For the chaps, I went with this kind of light brownish, tannish version of the Batwing chaps. They look basically exactly like the chaps he wears in the movie, so not really much room for improvement there. Then for the boots, I went with this clean, light brown variant of the worn Roper's boots. They basically match his perfectly. His don't appear to have any extra stitching, engraving, bedazzling, anything like that in them, so I kept it with the simple Roper's boots, and these match the shape and color pretty well. Then finally for the spurs, I went with the light brown variant of the Gurdon Morrow spurs. Again, they match the look and color of his pretty much perfectly. I tried finding a picture looking at the shape of the wheel on his spurs, but it was really hard to find one that was clear, so I think these ones match him pretty well, but it's hard to say for sure. But yeah, that is my best attempt at recreating Mathew Quigley from Quigley Down Under, a fantastic Western set in Australia. And I believe Alan Rickman is even the bad guy in this movie. So definitely well worth watching if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, that's where we're going to end it for today. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope if you were trying to imitate Mathew Quigley, that this video was very useful for you in that regard. I think, like I said, I think it looks pretty dang good. I think despite the fact that the shirt is just a little bit too light and the bandana is obviously too small, I think it turned out pretty good and looks a lot like Tom Selleck from the movie. And like I said with the facial hair, unfortunately, like all the facial hair options in Red Dead Online, it's not perfect. It's a little too bushy and big. It doesn't really fit the aesthetic of the Hollywood Western actor, you know? So there's flaws with the outfit, but on the whole, I think it's pretty dang good. So if you have any recommendations, anything else you'd like to see me try to recreate, whether it's historical or from a movie or a TV show or anything like that, definitely let me know down in the comment section, because I do like trying out new things, and like I always say, I'll basically try to recreate anything. I can't guarantee I'll make a video, because I'll only make a video if I can come up with a halfway decent outfit that looks at least passably like the person I'm trying to imitate. But like I said, if you have any of those recommendations, definitely let me know. And of course, if you like this video, leave a like rating to show me, YouTube, and Dupree that it's a fantastic video well worth everyone's time. And lastly, if you haven't already, I now invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. For 2 reasons, the first of which being I have a goal. I'm trying to hit 30,000 subscribers by September with the ultimate goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I know it's high, but it's, you know, kind of what I really want to hit, so that's why I set the goal there. And the other, more obvious reason to subscribe is if you like this content, you're probably going to like other content that I make, so that's basically the standard trade-off for entertainment in the United States. If you like it, keep watching it. So, that's my spiel about subscribing. I hope you do, but in any case, thanks for watching, and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you like this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.